here. What's up, Facebook? What's up, YouTube? It's Livin Large coming at you live from Ottawa, Canada on the Home Invasion Show. So I went and I saw the new Halloween movie. I'm a big fan of horror. Horror is my favorite genre of movies. And I'm real nostalgic, you know, if done right. I don't like remakes. I don't like sequels in terms of like, you know, soft reboots or whatever. But this one right here, they did it up proper. You know, they did it up proper. I actually wrote down some notes. Let y'all know what I thought, what I liked, what I disliked, and stuff like that, you know. First of all, big thing I liked was that John Carpenter had a hand in it, whether it be a minor or a major. Either way, John Carpenter's name is on it, and he was pushing this movie heavy. I didn't see him push any of the other movies heavy, like in terms of like Halloween, you know, 6, I believe it was, Halloween Resurrection, Halloween H2O, none of that shit. I didn't see him push that neither, you know what I mean? But he was up on this one. He was high up on this one. If y'all don't know what Halloween is, or too young to remember, or know in this case, it's a story about this this dude, Michael Myers. Back when he was 6 years old, he murdered his sister, and nobody know why. You know what I mean? Everybody, like, they're trying to figure out why he did it, but they just can't tell. And he was mute. He didn't say nothing the entire time, and stayed mute the entire time growing up and stuff like that, right? So I believe they made about 6 movies back in like the 70s, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. I believe I might be mistaken on that one. But they got as far as Halloween Resurrection with Busta Rhymes, and then they rebooted the entire franchise. They got Rob Zombie to do it up. They had Halloween 1, which was not really a faithful remake, but it was a remake in terms of like set in the Halloween universe. If you watch Halloween, the Rob Zombie movie, the first one, you can tell that it's a Halloween movie compared to the second one. The second one does not look like a Halloween movie whatsoever, and there's a reason for that, right? In terms of movies, when it comes to Rob Zombie, he's not really, like, he's not a fan of Halloween at all. He has some issues with it. He says he doesn't understand why it's a classic. And honestly, man, some of the issues he brought up, I'm like, yeah, I can see it happen. You know, he's like, if Michael Myers was locked up in the insane asylum or whatever, when he was a kid, ever since he committed the murder, when did he have time to learn to drive? Did he hitchhike all the way down to Haddonfield? I mean, that's the only other option. And can you picture Michael Myers hitchhiking? And can you imagine somebody actually picking up somebody like Michael Myers, right? That, I'm like, yeah, I get it, right? Another thing is like, yo, he kills a mechanic and he steals his jumpsuit. Mechanic jumpsuit, usually mechanics are dirty. They're dealing with dirt and grime and grease and all that shit. Motor oil. But then the jumpsuit he gets is pristine. No oil stains, nothing like that. And I'm like, I get it. That's cool. So he did it in his own way, which is cool. But he did not want to come back for the sequel. But the studio begged him to come back. And he said, I got creative freedom. They're like, you got 100% creative freedom. And so he pretty much shit the bed when it comes to the sequel and stuff like that, you know? I did find the redneck aspect pretty funny, though. I did find that hilarious, right? But all right. That's kind of like a rundown of what it was, right? Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis, she was the original from like 1978, from the original Halloween movie. And she was pretty much like the counterpart to Michael Myers. But like through the movie, some of them they used her. She didn't really want to come back in some of the movies. But they did bring her back for Halloween H2O. Resurrection, they didn't mention her. Halloween 4, no mention. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. And H2O, she came back, and you know what? Resurrection, they did mention her, but only in the beginning, right? She ended up getting killed. She got axed off or whatever. As per her request, she didn't want to leave the movie or whatever, right? But this one, they brought her back, and they retconned everything past Halloween 2, right? And I found that to be hilarious, because with this movie right here, it pretty much redeemed all the bullshit that we went through, right? Cult of Thorn, right, with Ant-Man, Paul Rudd, retcon. I'm like, thank God. That shit was hilarious. You know what I mean? Anybody that watched Ant-Man and they thought that Paul Rudd did a good job, he really did. Because if you watch Halloween, was it 4 or 5 or whatever? I think it was 5, right? That movie, number 1, is disjointed as hell. There's 2 copies of that movie. The theatrical release, which is bullshit, and the producer's cut. Not even direct, the producer's cut, right? And that movie's like almost a totally different movie, right? And some shit like that. But y'all should see his acting. Paul Rudd, to me, it's borderline almost in the same category as Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. That's how hilarious that acting was. You know what I mean? So they retconned that bullshit with this one right here. They also retconned Halloween Resurrection, Busta Rhymes, right? Dangertainment. They retconned that. Thank God. That shit was bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, they had Busta Rhymes fighting Michael Myers. He gives him like some kung fu kick and shit like that. Craziness. And this one right here, they brought it back to the roots. They actually made Michael threatening. He's not a lumbering idiot being kicked by Busta Rhymes. They made him threatening. And the mask, right, if you check out the Halloween movies, if you look at the different masks that Michael Myers wore, like you can see that some of them, they don't look like the same mask. And some of them don't even look scary at all. They just make him look dumb, right? But this one right here, one of my favorite masks, you know, not only does it look gritty, but it also looks aged, it looks worn out, and it actually looks creepy as hell, right? I know there was a lot, like, okay, I haven't read no reviews, I haven't seen nothing, right? I've tried to stay in the dark as much as possible in terms of, like, other people's opinions, right? I did not want somebody else's opinion to kind of, you know, filter through mine, right? But I've been seeing some videos where people are talking about Michael Myers' face reveal and stuff like that, and I thought it was going to be in the movie, but on top, like, I never really saw nothing. They didn't really reveal his face as much, you know, like, they probably did show, like, the side of his face, like, as close, like, to his eye or whatever, but nothing, like, full on. So anybody that thinks that, you know, they actually took off the mask and they showed off his face, no, they didn't, you know. If you remember in Halloween 2, either it was Dr. Loomis or it was Laurie Strode. One of them, they end up shooting Michael Myers in the eyes. So this movie right here, like when they do show the side of his face and you see his eyes look like they got scars on them, or they even kind of look stitched up. You know, because they don't really show you the face full on. I couldn't really tell. But there was something up with his eyes, right? And I thought that was pretty nice. I'm like, yo, the way the movie carried over like that, that was dope, you know? Again, they made Michael look threatening. The storyline with this one right here was after Halloween 1 and 2. He was locked up in the insane asylum for 40 years. And some people come down, some podcasters or whatever, they come down, they try to speak to him, try to get him to speak, you know? Because, like, the saying was, like, you know, he knows how to speak, he just chooses not to, right? And they saying that the reason why Michael did what he did is because he's just the full embodiment of evil, right? Something I did like too is they got a voice clip from like Sam Loomis, right? Dr. Loomis. He was doing his thing talking about Michael Myers and stuff. And in my mind, I'm like, yo, where did they get this clip? Because anybody that knows, Dr. Loomis, he passed on a while ago. You know, in the filming of Halloween 5, actually, he passed on. So to me, it's like, yo, is this from one of the first movies that, you know, I kind of forgot about? Or was this an original clip that they used from one of the deleted scenes or something like that? You know, it was nice to see Dr. Loomis represented somehow, some way. You know what I mean? That was pretty dope. I like that. You know, I got my notes right here, actually. I felt like the series went back to being horror. You know what I mean? Again, going back with some of the sequels that they had. Dangertainment with Halloween Resurrection. I didn't, you know, that's not really horror. H2O wasn't really horror neither. Just jump scares up the ass. And at one point, the mask was like CGI because they weren't really feeling the first mask. They didn't want to just reshoot. They just digitally imposed the mask on the other one or whatever. It just looked whack. It was whatever. Josh Hartnett too. Whatever. You know what I mean? You know, I thought it was back to the horror roots. You know, it does get a little action oriented. It gets actiony around the end. It's full blown becomes Home Alone at one point, you know, and you can take that however you want, you know. There's gonna be no spoilers in this. I can tell you right now, no spoilers whatsoever. I'm not gonna say what happens. A lot of people die, and the effects were practical, which is dope. I love that shit. There was barely any jump scares. There was little to no jump scares. And to me, it's, you know, I love horror movies that don't got no jump scares whatsoever, because jump scares are cheap scares. I'm from the old school where, you know, jump scares don't really do much for us, especially unnecessary jump scares. But in this day and age, in this generation, if there's no jump scares, then technically the movie's not scary, which is retarded to me. I don't know, it's stupid. But yeah, what else? Like I said, No Cult of Thorn, that shit gets redeemed. Dangertainment gets redeemed. It brought back, you know, the essence of what the Halloween movies was, at least in my opinion. A lot of people gonna fight me, be like, no, it didn't, you know, because it got a little action oriented. It's not really horror-esque or whatever. I get it. I get it. But to me, it's like, it's a better attempt. It's the best attempt at a Halloween sequel than everything else that we got. Between the Rob Zombie movies and all the way down. You know? I just felt like that. There was a crazy plot twist in the movie. There was a crazy ass plot twist that I did not see coming at all. And I'm surprised, like, you know, I haven't heard nobody talk about it. I know some friends of mine watched the movie. They didn't really say much. But, like, this movie, like, it just, to me, it keeps you on your toes. You know, you really want to know, like, what's going to happen next. Right? And then this shit just comes out of nowhere. And I'm like, God damn. God damn. You know, it just did a different take on, like, you know, a certain character or whatever. And I'm like, yo, this is crazy. You know, I loved it. I loved that twist. But, you know, again, Michael Myers' mask, and even down to the stinger. And, like, in the original movies, whenever he appears, he kind of has, like, this little stinger sound effect kind of thing, you know, kind of like Jason Voorhees or whatever. They brought that back, too. Right? And I thought, you know what? Way to tie it down to the first two movies. You know, because, like, again, when it comes to the sequels, like the 90s, late 90s and early 2000s, man, they never even included that, you know? It's funny how something small like that ties everything together. You know what I mean? It just made it feel like it was set in the same universe as number 1 and number 2, right? That's that. Again, little to no jump scares. This is something funny that I kind of realized. there was a lot of black folk in this movie, right? The amount of black folk they had in this one movie, you could pretty much stretch it to the entire series from like 1978 all the way down to the Rob Zombie movies, right? And I loved it. I'm like, yo, this is crazy, because it actually felt like a city. You know, it felt like an actual like city or whatever. You know, it didn't feel like a Hollywood set or whatever. You know what I mean? Where they just put extras or whatever. You know, nah, this one it felt multicultural. It felt nice. It felt like, you know, this is what it is. This is how, you know, because if you look at your own city, guaranteed it's not going to be like that. You know, especially if you live in a big city, even like some of the smaller towns now, right? Now, I was thinking, I'm like, because there were certain scenes in like, because, you know, people are trick-or-treating and stuff like that, and there were certain scenes in the city of Haddonfield where it was just like completely, you know what I mean? There was like nobody on the street, and like people were getting killed like live on the street, and nobody came to save them. Nobody was even there. Nobody was even around. So to me, it's like, yo, how small of a population is Haddonfield where people can just get murdered live in the street like that and nobody does nothing about it, right? So I tried looking it up, and it turns out that Haddonfield is actually a fictional, right? It's a fictional city that they created for the movie. But it did reroute to Livingston, I believe. Livingston, Illinois. And that population is 38,950, so close to 39,000. And I was like, what's the population like in my city compared to that, right? And where I'm from, in Ottawa, it's 934,240 people. So goddamn, I'm like, okay, I guess it makes sense. You know what I mean? Shit like that. I want to say what's up going to my man S, holding it down, Mississauga in the building, watching the video. S, did you watch the new Halloween movie? This is what I'm talking about. Let me know what y'all thought. You know? I don't know about S, but I'm a big fan of horror, so I jumped on it, especially being the month of October. And this is what we do, you know what I mean? In October, we review one horror movie a week. As you can see on the YouTube, if you look back, we reviewed the Cult of Chucky movie. And, we talked a lot of horror shit like this, you know? So, yeah, those are some of the pros that I liked. Those are the pros of the movie. But cons, not really much. I know they tried to like retcon everything, but I kind of wanted to have some mention of like the Jamie character, the little girl from like Halloween 4 and shit like that. Okay. So yeah, no, S, haven't seen the movie. When you watch it, man, let me know what you think. You know what I mean? My man, Warzone in the building. Peace. You know what I mean? Like that's what's up. But they didn't really mention anything about the Jamie character, the little girl from like number 3 and on. And again, they retconned the movie, but I kind of wish they kind of talked about it and stuff like that. Or they included her. That was one thing I wish they kind of included in the movie. Because as whack as it was, she kind of carried the torch. They even named her after Jamie Lee Curtis. you know, and to me it's like, all right, you know, just add her in the movie, especially since she grew up and, you know, she's they actually had her in like Halloween 2 with Rob Zombie, the sequel. So to me it's like, yo, if they had her in that and it was a waste of potential of a movie, they should have had her in this one here, right? My man Warzone talking about after this review, he's definitely going to see the movie. Man, both of y'all, Ass and Warzone, y'all watch the movie. Let me know what y'all think. Anybody watching this review right here, whether you watched it or not, let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. Because I love to hear from y'all just as much as y'all love to hear from me. You know what I'm saying? And that's what's up. Something that I found weird, and I'm putting it kind of in the con category. They talked about how Lori and Michael, they're not really siblings. They're like, it's just a rumor that they started in the town or whatever. And they just left it at that. I thought it's going to be explored more. And to me, it's like, yo, so is it a rumor or is it actual reality? Right? Because if you remember Halloween 1 and 2, Laurie Strode was supposed to be Michael Myers' sister. But in this one, they're like, yo, it's just a nasty rumor that they created, blah, 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 blah. And in my mind, I'm like, dog, so, like, what's up? Is it or is it not? You know? And if it's not, then why is Michael pursuing this? Why is he pursuing Laurie Strode like that? You know, at first they were saying because she's a family member and he killed his older sister, so now he wants to kill his younger sister. You know, this time around they didn't really say much. They just said Michael and Laurie, she survived, and now he wants to come back and kill her. But to me it's like, so why was he chasing her to begin with? What's the motive? What's the motivation? You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Did they mention it in the movie? If y'all seen it, let me know. Because the theater that I was at, some crazy shit happened. You know, there's a lot of people there, and like the entire beginning, people were talking. They were talking left and right. You know, so I completely missed the beginning. Right? And some crazy shit. This dude was actually watching the movie, and people were talking right behind him. And it was like him in front, and there was like 4 of them in the back. And so he turns around and tells them to quiet down. And they just flip out on him. Yo, shut the hell up. Turn your face. Just watch the movie. Blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, you know, yelling, screaming live in the theater. And I'm like, yo, is a fight going to spark right now? I'm like, shit. You know what I mean? Like, what's going to happen next? Right? But the guy actually, like, turned around and nothing was said. And everything kind of, like, quieted down after that. You know? That's when the movie got good. And, you know, it was about to turn into a Halloween movie right live in the theater. Some crazy shit, you know what I mean? Shout out, go to the South Keys area. That's where I saw the movie, at the South Keys Cinema. You know, that's home base anyway, so you know me. I'm definitely watching it right there. And now you know why. But yeah, all in all, I give this movie a solid 3. A solid 3 out of 4 stars. I don't do 5, because I don't like uneven numbers. It's all about even numbers to me. So, 3 out of 4 stars. They didn't really say what happens in the end. The end is kind of left open. Especially, like I stayed, ever since Marvel started doing the end credit scenes, I don't care what movie it is now, I'm always staying to the end, just in case I miss something, right? And this one right here, you just hear some breathing, right? And that was another thing that I forgot to add right here. Another pro from the movie. Michael, when he's doing his killing and he's walking around and all of this, you know, he always has that labored breath. And I thought it added a bit of realism to the movie. It made him humanized a little bit. You know, he wasn't just a killing machine that's invulnerable, God mode, all of that shit. You know what I mean? None of that, right? And again, it goes back to what I was saying about God mode. You know, this movie right here, he actually gets his fingers blown off. Minor spoiler, I guess, whatever. But he gets his fingers blown off. And it actually, you know, he feels the pain. And he actually, like, you know, grunts and, you know what I mean? In pain and shit like that. So to me, it's like, yo, it was grounded a little more in reality compared to the other ones where he just appears and gets stabbed, gets blown up, gets set on fire, and just keeps on coming. Gets shot up and just keeps on coming. Head cut off at one point and just keeps on coming. You know? I thought it was, I thought they did a good job with this one right here. And if they are going to do a sequel, it looks like they might do a sequel because Jamie Lee Curtis, she, again, minor spoiler, but I guess everybody kind of knows this already. You know, she kind of like, you know what, no, I'm not even going to say, you know what I mean? But it does look like there's going to be a sequel, potential for a sequel, I guess. Because again, in the end, they added that labor breath just to let you know that, you know what I mean? Something's up. And, yeah. see this movie. Go see this movie. I can't stress it enough. Highly recommend it. If y'all like Halloween, it's definitely a good take, a solid take compared to all the efforts that they had before, and all them, you know, the popcorn flicks that they had. You know what I mean? Because that's exactly what they were. They're just, you go there, shut your brain off, eat popcorn, and you know what I mean? You're not gonna have a good time. Here's another, I keep remembering. I wrote this down, and I just keep remembering another certain thing that's a little minor thing that they added in the movie that actually grounded into the Halloween movies, right? If you remember the Halloween movies, the way they start, it's a pumpkin, and they have like the logo says Halloween, and then like they say all the names of like the director, the cast, and all that stuff. This one, it was a smashed pumpkin, and like as they're rolling the credits, they rolled the footage of the pumpkin being smashed in reverse. So you see it being kind of like built up, you know? So to me, it's almost like they were hinting at the franchise. It was almost like a metaphor or whatever, you know? About the franchise, how the franchise was dead and they were bringing it back. And I thought it was a nice callback. And they tied it all back to like the first two movies. And again, it was all love like that, you know what I'm saying? But again, watch this movie. Let me know what y'all think. Hit me up in the comment section below. Or let me know. You can find me on the Twitter at Livin Large 187. That's at LIVIN Large 187. And yeah, did you like the movie? You hate the movie? Do you agree with me? Did I miss something? Let me know what y'all thinking. Livin Large, we're going to spin it to more music. We got Tamia. We're keeping the Halloween music. Keeping the horror theme music. You know, some of them. In this case, not so much. It's just the title. Stranger in My House. How scary is that? You telling me if there was a stranger in your house, you're not going to be scared? Especially considering that you might not know. Right? Check it out. It's Tamia. Stranger in the House. Home Invasion Show. It's Livin Large, baby. Ottawa, Canada. I don't want no copyright claim. Let me turn this down. Right? So yeah, that's what I thought of Halloween. Once again, 3 out of 4 stars. You know, it's not really my favorite movie, but in terms of like the Halloween franchise, it's definitely up there though, you know. It's in my top 3, which is crazy because the first 1 and 2, and now this one here, that's the top 3 right there. You know what I mean? But again, can't stress it enough, man. Let me know what y'all think. You know, shout out, go out to everybody tuned in watching this video on the Facebook and tuned in watching this video on the YouTube. It's all love. And yeah, like Jerry Springer say, take care of yourselves and each other. Livin Large out, baby. Peace.